right, welcome back, everybody. This is Captain
Hey,
Sergio
good
and
evening,
Captain
everybody.
Mike, and we're here. We're ready to go. We're fired up. We had a crazy week last week, let me tell you. You know, especially Friday, we had 57 boats fishing out of Hula Bay for a corporate event. Then Saturday, we had a fantastic turnout for the kids' fishing tournament. So I am just so happy that this
Yeah,
happened. Really a
yeah,
great turnout, and that's what we needed. Uh, a lot of the parents, a lot of food, uh, rods and reels and tackle and kids. Let me tell you, this is the first year it looks like all the kids wanted to go fish.
well, they
Some
did.
years it's like 50-50, and some
Yeah.
want to, but some this year, did you notice all the kids wanted to go?
Oh, I did, and I noticed that a lot of them were waiting out there
Oh
fishing too.
yeah.
They were just on the bank. They were out there waiting and casting. And
Oh, and
yeah,
some are carrying on. I talked to one parent. Her son wanted
they
to
were
get
having
in
a
the
good
water. She
time.
said, "You can't get in the water," but Mama, I want to get in the water and catch some fish.
Yeah, no, they had a really good time. So it was nice. It's always fun to do that, to give back to the kids and kind of show them, there's more to out there than just screen time. And
And
it
actually,
was fun.
the Lord gave us a beautiful day too. Can't
Oh yeah, it
complain.
was beautiful in the morning. Did
It
not
was
take.
just
It wasn't as, and we had a little breeze, which helped too, because
yeah.
the day before was the last year was just hot.
Yeah. No, that this year was really not bad at all.
Mm-mm.
You know,
No,
I and I mean the weather. It was just enough a little breeze. I mean they brought plenty of mosquito repellent, but you know what? I didn't see many mosquitoes this year as it was. Of course, there hasn't been any water either.
right. No, it
You know.
was it was definitely better. I said this year, that's why I wore long pants this year, just in
Well,
case.
I wore them last year, but this year I said, nah. I sweated too much last year,
Hmm.
but
Yeah,
it wasn't bad at all. It wasn't
yeah,
bad
because
at all.
it's hard to swat at mosquitoes when you're talking to kids, you know,
Yeah.
because you gotta have your attention on them, and you're constantly swatting at your legs because you're getting bit. So yeah, I wore the pants this time
But
just
I
to be on the
think
safe side.
you and Larry Fritz and Jim Pace and Pam Worth, I mean, everybody did a great job and educating the kids. I mean, a lot of policemen were there helping us out. I mean, everybody. In fact, they were so happy. We already set the date for June 5th next year, and we're
Okay.
going to try to. We had 112 kids this year. That was we were maxed out. Next year we're going for 125 kids,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I think the FWC told me, Gina, that she's going to help us and we're going to apply for a grant to get the rods and reel for free, completely
Oh,
free.
nice.
That means if we can do that and
Hmm.
they only give us 100 and something, we'll have money to buy extras
Right.
to even have more kids, you know.
Yeah. Good
But
deal.
no, and people like Gandy Bait and Tackles, they donated all the shrimp. Uh, Alex Silva, that's not only does he put money into the program, he donates money. He was there with his 14-year-old son to help out. He owns a
Hmm.
model's body shop here in Tampa. We had Ron that owns Vantex. He always donates a lot of money, and he was there with his daughter to help out. So I mean, we just had tons of people to help out, including yourself. You know, doing your thing. Uh, Next year, though, they're already locked in the spot further south from there where it sits right with the restrooms,
Gotcha.
and there's no frisbee, so and
Right.
it's got a bigger beach where the kids can actually be easier for the kids to fish.
Oh,
So
nice.
I'm already working on, like, this year we forgot the bullhorn, so the little air horn, I mean. So next
Uh-huh.
year we're going to make sure that we got an air horn,
Yeah.
you know,
Moving
because it makes it
along.
a lot easier. Yeah.
Yeah, but
And
all the other volunteers, they kept the kids moving and kept us informed when the next group was coming up. So
oh, they did a
they did a
great
great
job.
job.
Yeah, they did. I cannot complain. They did a super job.
Yep.
on the way we handle things. And then, uh, eh, eh, you did the thing about scalloping and Larry Fritz on artificials and Jim Pace on his thing. I mean, uh, and Alex Silva, he helped with the casting with the kids and
Hmm.
his son.
Yeah.
And they brought the little spin cast with the little fish and you cast it out. And you know what? I could see this is the first year, this was the fifth year that we've done it.
Right.
This group this year was so enthusiastic.
Yeah.
Now we had some repeats from last year that
Hmm.
their parents really liked it so much they wanted to bring the kids again.
Yeah.
But I mean, overall, I thought it was great. You
Oh,
know.
it was. It was. It's never have a bad time there.
Oh, and we
Uh,
had Kyle there from Goth from Florida Fishing Products. He was
yep.
showing, talking about spinning reels and all that kind of stuff, talking to the people. So yeah, overall, I think the kids got a good education, and we had a lot of kids between 6 to about 10. We had a
Hmm.
big crowd. I noticed not as many big kids this year, which is not that I didn't want them, but I really want the, last over the years, some of the kids sneak in and they're 15 and 16. But this year, they were all, and we had some 4 or 5 year olds, but a lot of 6 to 10 year olds, which is the ideal time to get them started
Hmm.
because they're
Yeah.
right there. They can catch on to stuff real easy, you
And
know.
they have a lot more questions than the
Oh,
older
they
kids.
do. Did you get some questions?
Oh man, we got some questions. Yep. So yeah, it's just nice to have, those kids enthusiastic as they were out there, and then to see them get out in the water and fish. And then I think we had more parents this year than we did last year.
We did. We did.
Um, and that was good to see. Parents out there just getting involved as well and learning everything that their kids do. So they have the same information whenever the kids ask a question, then they can get out there and do some fishing. So, or scalloping or just anything, kayaking.
And you did a good job because you actually bought scallop shells.
Hmm.
And, and I tell you what, they got a nice little tote bag. They got a really nice tackle box this year. Saltwater Assassin gave everybody a package of baits. Tia Mahoney donated the floats. We got the split shots and the hooks from Lee Fisher. So I mean, everybody participated to make this. You know, the only thing was the T-shirts. That this year I did not do the T-shirts. They wanted somebody else to do it, and I said
Yeah.
okay. But yeah, they put a freshwater fish, and when they ordered all the sizes, whoever ordered them did not order child. They all were
Yeah.
adult, small, medium, and large, and extra large. And they were supposed to have been youth. That's small.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. But hey, next year I'm taking the t-shirts over again. You know.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah. So that
Yeah.
won't happen. I guarantee you that. Uh, so
Well,
now, what? Look at that. He said he gave away all his barbers. Jim Pace did. Uh, One of the things that
yeah.
keeps coming up is this thing on the red snapper. Uh, you know, uh, about like recreational fishermen. You know that they're really getting pitched against the commercial guys and environmentalists in a legal dispute. Uh, and I think what it is, and I don't know about you, Mike, and I'm not a really an offshore guy. I mean, I catch grouper and stuff like that in the bay, but do I
Hmm.
really want to go 50 miles out to catch snapper and all that? A couple of times a year, but I'm not a guy that wants to go
Right.
out every weekend.
Yeah.
But I've been living in Tampa enough years that I saw it with the kingfish back when the kingfish days, where before your time, I can tell you, I can go out to markers 6, 7, and 8 off the Egmont Ships Channel
Hmm.
come April Fool's Day. And if you couldn't land 30 to 40 kingfish in the morning, something was wrong. Then the
Right.
commercial guys came in with their big nets and spotter planes. They wiped out the kingfish. So what
Hmm.
happened? Then they come back and then, oh, we got a problem. Well, the problem wasn't the everyday guy, because the everyday guy, what the heck was he going to do with 40 or 50 kingfish? But you got a chance to hook them and catch them.
Yeah.
You kept two, maybe three, especially
Right.
the Spanish people, because they cut them in rolls instead of filleting them.
Sausage
But that's
rolls.
about it.
Yeah.
But the commercial guys, at one of the meetings that I went to in those days, it was back in the 70s, me, Dave Marquette, and a bunch of us, we used to go to all these meetings. Although we knew the answer already, you went to the meeting just so they could make you feel good. You know,
Hmm.
the government would listen to you. Yes, we understand. We're going to see what we can do. They already made up their mind. They didn't give a crap. But
Right.
the thing was that we saw a video off the dry tortugas after one of these big netting boats came through and wiped out the kingfish. The, the, back in those days, the government admitted that about 20 to 25% of the fish that were netted went to the bottom and died
Yeah.
and was wasted. So if there was 100,000 pounds of fish landed, there was 20,000 pounds of kingfish that just went to the bottom and died. That 20,000 pounds of kingfish would have kept all the regular anglers happy as could be all during
Right.
that spring run. But again, and you know, same way with red snapper. There was a survey I was reading about it. Still, about 20% of the red snapper, 25% of red snapper that get released in deep water, although you punch them and let the air out of their bladder, you do all these things, will die.
Hmm.
You release 100 snapper, 80 going to live, about 20 of them are going to just go down to the bottom. They're not going to make it.
Right.
And again, when you got these commercial guys and they're bringing them up thousands of pounds, yeah, they're letting them go. But if they're landing 350,000 pounds of snapper, you figure that 70,000 pounds is wasted.
Yeah.
70,000 pounds of snapper. You think about that. In Florida, at 5 pounds of snapper, how many hundreds, thousands of snapper would that leave for the everyday guy to fish with?
Hmm.
So I guess I keep saying this over the years. I'm a captain, you're a captain. I think it's good to have rules and regulations. We want to monitor, we make sure we want to have fish to catch every week, fish for our grandkids, for our kids. But if you're going to do that, you got to do it across the board. You just can't say, hey, angler, you're only going to have 15 days this year to catch snapper. You only can catch one per person because the commercial guy's got to have 100 metric ton to
Yeah.
land.
Right.
Come on. You know, if you think they're that endangered, close them. Close the snapper season for 2 years. Nobody can catch them. Nobody can do nothing.
Hmm.
Then they're all going to come back. But as long as you piecemeal it the way they do, and maybe that's the way I look at it, but I think the everyday guy, the guy who puts more money into the community, is the angler. He buys the boat for 100 something thousand. He buys tackle all the time. He buys the bait all the time. He's buying all the gasoline, the truck. The commercial guy buys one boat. He's got the electric, and that's it. How
Yeah.
much money does that boat per pound? How many fish does he land versus to how much he expends in this market versus the same amount of how many anglers it takes to catch that amount of fish, how much he's spending.
Hmm.
That's so I don't have a problem if we want to set quotas, but if you're going to set a quota, set it for everybody. If
Yeah.
you're going to tell me you're going to close the season, everybody's closed. If you're going to tell me one per person, for one per person.
Right.
But you know, I don't know. Some people are going to argue that, well, people got to eat snapper. Well, that's fine. Hey, the regular guy's got to eat snapper too when he goes out fishing. It costs,
Hmm.
if you think about it, snapper's costing the average guy that goes out on his boat to catch it probably $100 a pound.
Oh, easy.
By the time he figures his gas, his bait, his tackle, insurance, license, and everything else. But you know what? He enjoys that.
Right.
And I think we all have a right to fish.
Correct.
Every person should have a right to fish. If you're going to control it, then everybody needs to be controlled.
Right.
That's all. I spoke my piece, and I don't know.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, the way everything is set up, especially with NOAA, I mean, they've been involved in the fishery since the 70s, and they're a little bit more prevalent than they have been in the past in recent years. But unfortunately, with the environmental lobbyists and the commercial fishing lobbyists, they tend to get precedent over the recreational fishermen because technically we do not have a lobbyist for recreational fishermen in the state of Florida or probably any other states. So recreation is just a byproduct. Everything else is funneled and fueled by the monetary value of fish being sold in the markets, world markets, et cetera, et cetera. So unfortunately, the way it's set up right now, we're not really going to have a voice unless we can convince, people to kind of get together a little bit more and have a real voice in there and fight the commercial side. And again, we're not telling commercials can't have a business and can't do what they need to do, but there's got to be a better regulation with commercial, especially with long lining and everything else, because I've seen videos of long lines where they're catching snapper and they've got 100, 200, 300 hooks on there, and there's a snapper on every one of them, and it doesn't matter what size they are. They're all going in the boat. So you can't tell me that you're regulating the environment or the fish for the recreational guys, but for commercial, where does that line start and stop? So I think that's where that is. And the more I get into it, the more I look at it, the more you realize that unfortunately there's just a lot of money and there's a lot of political pull behind everybody in the NOAA, and that's kind of where we sit.
Yeah, and I think you're right. There's a lot of money in these lobbyists, and a lot of people get influenced by them,
Mhm.
and we get left out.
Yep.
And like I said, I just want it to be fair. Listen, I don't go out snapper fishing, but I want
Mhm.
everybody that wants to have a chance to do it. When I was
Correct.
younger, I used to like to do it a lot. I used to
Yep.
like to go offshore all the time. But you know, and I get it. You got to watch it so you don't overfish it. But it isn't the average. They try to tell us that the average angler is the one that's overfishing the snapper and the grouper. It
Mhm.
ain't. There's no way in the world. The average angler
No.
doesn't go out 7 days a week. He goes out a Saturday or Sunday, maybe every once a month or twice a month. And half the time when he plans on going, the wind's too rough and he can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's where like with the snowy, because I was reading this earlier, the snowy grouper, they've kind of shut that down June 7th, which is today, right? Yeah. No,
No, today's
it
the
was
8th.
yesterday.
Yeah.
So, and that being is because they predicted, not that they did any studies, but they predicted that the recreational angler would have caught above the limits of what they've set. So, in other words, they have no actual numbers on what was caught, what wasn't. But their prediction is that the recreational angler
How can they
caught
do
more
that?
snowy grouper than what they predicted they should.
How can they do that? That's what I want to know. How is it possible that you can sit there and
It's
tell me?
federal waters, and that's where NOAA is over federal waters. So there you go. That's the problem. Now this does not apply to commercial. It only
Yeah,
applies to
there
recreation.
you go. See? Yeah, the
So it
commercial's
just kind
still
of tells
open.
you that you know
So what you're
we
telling me is commercial
we are
still
a
open?
byproduct. We're not NOAA is not for the recreational. It's for the commercial.
Right.
And that needs to be the message it seems to get out to them that, hey, we know that you have you're not for the recreational guy, you're for the commercial people. So
That's who puts the money in their pockets. As
mhm.
simple as all that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and Jim Pace says the issue is I never see FWC, so people will push their limits until punished. Well, that's
That
the other
too.
thing. You got rules and regulations, but you really, I feel sorry for the FWC guys. It's not their fault. I mean, they don't have enough people to cover an area.
No, the resources are not there, and that's a shame. I mean, we have. I mean, our whole state is surrounded by water, and we have a problem with getting enough FWC officers out there. And again, the most recent um, regulation or hands tied behind their back that they brought out is they have to have probable cause to stop, which to a degree I do respect. I do understand that.
I think we have a right. I agree
Yeah,
with that.
I think we have a right. And just being pulled over just because you're out there and you got fishing poles, not really my thing. But at the same time, it's kind of tied their hands where now people, well, they can't stop me for anything. So hey, might as well push the boundaries. And that's where you get, people taking fish that they shouldn't or excess or whatever else. So, it's a double-edged sword. You want your freedom, but at the same time, it's kind of allowing the people who will just do whatever they want regardless to get away with it a little bit easier.
What I always felt is, why can't they? Yes, I know it's kind of hard to try to keep track. You have a guy on the water, that's fine. But what about on the weekends? Just put somebody at each of the major boat ramps.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. And when they come in, you check their catch.
Yeah, there's a lot of states who do that. There's a lot of
And
other
just think
states.
about it. Just the idea that can happen
Mm-hmm.
might deter people from being illegal.
Right.
And I
Yeah.
could see them trying to run a guy up and down Tampa Bay. But you know what? You could get, I don't want to say assistant FWC officers,
Mm-hmm.
weekend people that they can put out there that can enforce it.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that they might not carry a gun or anything like that, but you give them the authority to inspect it.
Mm-hmm.
And then if they're illegal, you write them a ticket. It's that simple.
Yeah.
And I think that just that threat might slow down, what's going
Right.
on.
Well, I mean, it's easy here in Crystal River. Well, most of the rivers here, the Withlacoochee, the Homosassa, and all that. I mean, majority of people have to put in the river, so you have to go back up to the river to put your boat in, to dock and everything else like that. And there are places that it's at the S turn between Salt River and the main Crystal River that you'll see them out there just kind of sitting and watching and waiting and looking. And that's where they get a lot of majority of people, is because it's the only place to get in. They have the main first boat ramp, other than the one at the end of the Fort Island Trail. You usually see one, an officer just kind of sitting there at the ramp. But for the rest of everybody else has to go up the river, it was a choke point. And so they could stop people left and right if they needed to. But again, now their hands are kind of tied a little bit with the probable cause. So, it's kind of one of those things. It just, you just never know. So it's a double-edged sword, and don't have the answers for it. I wish I did, but
Well, here I got another good one because I'm on my kick about. Did you see Picnic Island Pier?
Yeah.
It's tore up since the hurricane.
Right.
Now, City of Tampa, Hillsborough hasn't done a thing. Now, you know how many people fish that little pier?
Uh-huh.
They had a good time off that little pier. I've been there a lot of times watching people when I write some of magazine articles. Like, they didn't want to fix Gandy Bridge. They could have spent a few $1 million and did a little piece of the old bridge and let people still have that fishing pier that was so good for so many years. Oh, and I'll hear the story. Well, we're a little tight on the budget. No, wait a minute. Hang on. You just built a park last year, wasn't it, for $36 million? The third park in downtown Tampa. Did you just add to that boardwalk another $15 million? And you're getting ready to maybe get the race to come in and use how many millions of taxpayer dollars to get them to
Mhm.
come in, and you don't have a $300,000 to fix the pier for
Yeah,
all the taxpayers that want to use it to go fishing.
it's not a priority.
It's not a priority. It's
Yeah.
not going to do anything for them. It's not going to put their name out there.
No,
And
it doesn't, and that's the problem with political people who are just lawyers and all that kind of stuff. They don't have the outside outdoor experience and everything else that we do, and I think that's one of the problems that we have is we don't have enough people in the political side that actually are out there and the recreational side on a daily basis or on a regular basis, or just do it because they love it. Again, I'll go back to the thing I think I've said in the past. Why does the head of the FWC, why is he a developer? Hello?
yeah,
See, there's a problem.
yeah.
Why do we allow this? Majority, I would say, I think there's 2 or 3 head honchos at FWC that are developers. That's a conflict of interest. And
As
it
far as I'm
shouldn't be.
concerned, I think it
And
is.
you have that in every political way. So it's a sad thing. And I don't have the answers to how to fix it other than we got to find better candidates for the recreational people, because it's a big, there's a lot more money to me in recreational than there is in the commercial side and everything else. It's so many millions of dollars every year, and yeah, I just don't understand why it's not a bigger priority for the state of Florida, period.
Well, we'll see. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's get Tony Franklin's fishing report in.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, Captain Tony Franklin back with you once again for this week's fishing report. I've had the last couple of weeks off for the fishing report, but I'm back and I've got a really good report for you. This past week, the snook bite is just really became on fire. We've hooked a numerous amounts of large snook that we couldn't stop in the 15, 16, 20 pound range on light tackle. We had youngsters that have hooked up to them, and we've had like 6 or 7 that we just can't stop. I mean, this is some of the bigger snook that I've seen around in a while. We did have some of the smaller ones in, some of the medium-sized ones, but with these big horses, we tried to pull them out of the mangroves, but no success. So we had a kind of a heartbreaking week trying to get the big ones out for a picture. So that's the snook report so far. Trout bite remains really well. 6 feet of water, you got to find a lot of grass on the grass flat. The sandy areas don't really work as much, so you want to make sure you're in about 5-6 feet of water and you have grass under the boat. There's been a lot of great action for Jack Crevalle. There's been a lot of jacks this week. Jack's been biting really good. Ladyfish action's been there. Catching bonnet head sharks once again. Catching black tips have really moved in this week, so catching quite a few black tips. So good action on the black tips. Sand trout, spotted sea trout, like I said, in the 6 foot area. We're also catching some redfish. Not monsters, but we've had good action for 19, 21, 22, 23 inch reds. We're averaging about 3 or 4 a day. So the redfish action has been good, and we have caught some larger ones. So it is really picking up out there. So that's my report for this week. Get out on the water, definitely get out, get some fishing, tight lines. I'll see you next week.
Good
Thank you,
job, Tony. Very good job. And,
Yeah.
and Hota, just real quickly, let's put the that little short video. It's only about 30 seconds of all the kids. Look at that. I mean, we just had kids after kids after kids.
They're at the casting platform there. It's good. Yeah, it was. Like I said, it was a great time. Bunch of
I
kids.
mean, if you look at it, all the kids were excited.
Hmm.
I mean, and we had 10 tents set up, and we had groups of kids going from one tent to the other, and you know,
Yeah, I mean, I should have got some video of them all fishing out there afterwards, and but we got involved in food, so
yeah, you got to admit that food is pretty good.
it is good. It is good. I think I had my last, so the one of my empanadas today, so it was good.
You got to admit, and they cook good. These guys are good cooks,
Yeah, yeah, it's great food there. There's no doubt.
And like I said, all the kids had a good time. Now, the other thing is, and if any of our viewers can tell us, is what is going on with the bait. I was talking to Tony because he was fishing for me on Friday, and he said the same thing. Sergio, it's a hit or miss. You go to this spot, you got to get there way before daybreak and chum like crazy. And sometimes you got 15 to 20 minutes to catch bait. And then after that, it's gone and the pinfish move in and there's no more white bait around.
Yeah.
And then some of them, I'll tell you, I had out of 57 boats fishing on Friday, some of the captains says, oh, I'm going to go catch my own bait. I'm not going to buy any. Well, Dylan, he told me the night before, he said, Sergio, I've only got enough bait for about 15 boats. I got about 30 scoops. I'm having a hard time getting bait to sell.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of these captains that thought they were going to go catch their own bait, some was lucky and caught some. And then some went and all they caught was thread fins and some pinfish. And I'd probably say about 15 or 18 of them had no bait at all. And they thought, well, I'm going to come right in and buy it. Guess what? There wasn't no bait to buy.
No.
And they had to go back out and scramble and do whatever they could.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm talking, these are good captains. I mean, they know what they're doing. But
Yeah.
they're all having the same problem around the Gandy area. But I guess I don't know about the Skyway because, I'm not down there. But around the Gandy area, the normal places that year after year after year you could catch bait, if you get there in the dark and you get lucky, like one guy says, man, I got lucky. I made 3 casts and I loaded my bait well. That was yesterday. Today, it took me an hour and I got maybe 100 baits and then they were gone. So you don't know.
No, you don't. We don't, like I said, we have the white bait here and you do have to chum and it's kind of a hit or miss as well, but it's always been that way in Crystal River. But I still hear that, you can find them, but you got to get out there early and you got to chum. You got to chum a while. And then once, you will get your bait that you need. But the one thing here that's been weird, because I was out Friday doing a little scouting and fishing and everything, and we caught some fish, but not seeing big schools, big numbers of fish. It's, 3 or 4 here, 3 or 4 here, 3 or 4 here. But one of the things that got me bothered is no big schools of mullet. Every time I saw mullet, they were just scattered out on the flat everywhere. They're not concentrated in any way, shape, or form, and which doesn't, concentrate the reds or the snook in certain areas too. So something is a little off. I'm not sure what it is exactly. I did one of my theories to figure out where some of these fish were, and it worked. They weren't all big fish, but they kind of transitioned off some of the trees, and they're out a little bit more in the open. So my theory on that did work, but finding these bigger schools of mullet and stuff they're not there either. So, because we use mullet here as well for bait, you can snag a few or catch a few in the trap and your net and use those as well. But you trying to find any concentration of more than 10 was very difficult.
I mean, finger mullets are killer. I love finger mullet about that big, about 5 inches for big snook. Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, we don't really have too many finger mullet here, which is very odd.
We have big mullet, but I don't know where the babies are at.
Yeah, Yeah, it's very odd that you just don't see schools of little finger mullet everywhere. You got big mullet, no problem, and you got to use them for chum, but unless you're doing some tarpon fishing. But yeah, it's just very, very odd. I'm hoping this week, I hope it was just this cold front that came through, even though it really wasn't a cold front for us. It kind of made the weather feel better, but I just don't know yet. I'll get back out there this week because we're going to do some scouting for scallops. I've got a bunch of clients who are waiting for my phone call to tell them what's happening this year. So, but yeah, I'll find out this week and see if it changes.
Yeah, I mean, in talking to some of the captains, some theories was we haven't had enough rainwater. The salinity level's too high for the bait. And I don't know if that's really an effect or not. But like you said, I can see big schools of mullet, but I never see any finger mullets in Tampa Bay. And then
Yeah.
the white bait, I mean, here's the other thing too, Mike. Normally you see schools and schools of thread fins all over the bay.
Mm-hmm.
On a flat, calm day, you'll see one little school over here, one little school way down there, where normally you look and you see it looks like acres of thread fins.
Yeah.
So a couple of the captains thought maybe the salinity level was too high. We haven't had enough rain. I don't know.
I mean, it's possible, but I don't know. I just don't know. There's something kind of weird that has happened recently. Not sure what it is. It may just be another transition before the summertime. But water temperature was still decent. Still plenty of oxygen out there. It's not like it was up near the 90s. It was like 81 degrees on Friday.
Well, it's 87 in the bay, 88, so it's not bad.
Yeah, not bad yet. So not sure. Just could be just one of those weird little times, barometer too high or Lord knows. It's fishing.
Amen to that, brother. Oh God. Well, let's see. Let's get Jim Pace's fishing report.
Sounds good.
Hey guys, Jim with your Pasco County fishing report. This will be a short report because last week not really too much went on. Bait was tough to find, comes and goes. I hear it's getting really bad in the bay as well right now. Up here in our area, if you know where to go, you can find it, but it's sporadic and it's very pieces. You can always rely on cut pins or cut mullet if you want to go out for redfish. Snook are definitely keyed on lively bait right now, so unless you bring that to them, it's been kind of tough. Trout you could always pick up on grass flats 3 to 4 foot right now. You can use any type of artificial voodoo, paddle tails, things like that. Nothing too large there, but you definitely can get into some good bite with trout right now as well. As far as next week or this week goes, it's looking pretty good as far as weather goes. Low winds. That was the other thing last week. Winds were really bad Tuesday, Wednesday-ish. So it was a tough bite to get out there and try and get onto something. But this week's looking a lot better with less wind, and it's just going to be really hot. So I'm going to be looking for redfish up in the mangroves more. Try and get snook first thing or last thing of the day. During the day, it's probably going to be a really tough bite to midday on a slack tide. So look for incoming or outgoing tides, usually 1 or 2 hours in between on those. So if it's coming in the first hour of incoming or the last hour of incoming, and then of course same thing, first hour of outgoing, second last hour of outgoing, we're going to be your best bets right now. Moving water is going to definitely be key for those snook, and then of course first light and last light of the day would be the best place to probably try and pick those up. Other than that, Saturday I was at Sergio's get together for the youth fishing. That was a hoot. It was nice to meet everybody. It was nice to hang out with everybody and share stories. That was super fun. We had a lot of kids come through. Did the best I could to teach them. Attention span was a little light on a lot of them, but you know what? It's fun to get out there, and hopefully some of them learn and will be able to continue on fishing and pass on their advice to other kids as well. But like I said, I'll try and get you guys something next week a little better. I'll get out there a lot more since the weather's looking pretty good for this week as far as wind and everything. So talk to you guys later. See ya.
Good job, Jim.
Yeah, the attention span. You got to keep their. It's hard to keep their attention, but hey, it's the exposure that
You got to understand. We had a few 4 or 5-year-olds, but we had a lot of 6 to 10-year-olds, and overall, yeah. Well, you get a bunch of groups, a bunch of kids together, but I was amazed how many questions they were asking. Of you guys, putting on the seminars.
Yeah, there was a lot more questions being asked this year. Definitely. There was a little girl that and her questions were very intelligent questions. She was kind of in the back a little bit, and her dad kind of got her up next to the table and was sitting there talking to me, and she just had question after question after question, and she was just so enthralled by what was going on, and just wanted as much information as possible, and it's nice to see that.
And the girls are usually more in tune than the boys.
Yeah. They are.
No, that is really that is the truth.
Yeah.
No. When I look at them, even on a charter, the women usually outfish the guys because they listen. These young kids, I think the girls are really tuned in because they want to learn.
Uh-huh.
Where the kids are, the boys are boys, and I know a lot of that,
Yeah.
Because what used to make me laugh is, when we work these boat shows, you get these 16, 17-year-olds, and I was 16, 17 at one time, but they'll come by the booth, and a couple of years ago, I'll never forget, I got a picture of the biggest kingfish I ever caught. Okay. Big. It was 68, 69 pounds. I mean, this thing was 5 feet 4 inches long. I mean, that big around. One kid picks it up. He's talking to his buddy. He says, "Yeah, I've caught a bunch of those." And, yeah. Yeah.
Yep. There you go.
All my life, that's the only one I caught that big. I caught some 34 pounders, close to 38 pounders. That was the only one I caught, 60 something pounds. And this kid, he tells his buddy, "Yeah, I caught a bunch of these." I didn't say anything because I almost felt like saying, "Can you show me some pictures? I want to learn from you."
Show me some pictures. As they say, if I don't see a picture, it didn't happen.
Now, Halter, did Jessica send any video with their pictures or just pictures?
No, she texted me back. I got a text from her. Hold on, if I can get it real quick.
No, she sent some pictures.
Yeah, she didn't have a report. She just went out for a few hours the other evening. So
okay,
it's just
let's get Niall. Let's get Niall then.
All right.
Hey, good afternoon. This is Niall Bryant with Sweet Paradise Charters with this week's fishing report out of Steinhatchee, Florida. Fishing has been a little tough in Steinhatchee the past few weeks. Water temperatures got up to 87 degrees. The trout are spread out, went to the deep water, and so if you can find them, we've been getting them. I had a charter this past week, a couple charters where we did good on one day. The next day we did really good on trout and sand trout and a few redfish, but it's getting challenging that time of the year here in Steinhatchee where trout fishing is tough. The reds are still up close. Bait of choice for the trout this week has been gulp under a 4 Horseman popping cork with 3 to 4 foot of leader up underneath that on either a 16-ounce lead head or really just an offset J hook will work with that too. And we've used shrimp this week also. I don't use shrimp a whole lot, but we used shrimp this week and caught a few redfish on those, and actually caught a couple trout on those also too. So Looking forward to next week from today is scallop season starts. I do have a few fishing charters during scallop season, but scallop season starts, and the report is there is plenty of scallops in Steen Hatchery. So if anybody would like to come to Steen Hatchery, go scalloping or go fishing, give me a call at 850-443-7335. Again, this is Niall Bryant with Sweet Paradise Charters. Thank you.
Thank you now.
Appreciate it now.
Yeah. He's
Yeah,
way
that's-
up there. Stanahatchee.
Yeah, it's going to be changing. Our whole season changes from July, most of July through most of August till school starts, to where we just focus basically on scalloping. I mean, it's an
That's
easy
what
way
people
to,
want.
huh?
That's what people want.
It is.
And that's what you give them.
It's a good time. Like I said, I'll definitely have a scalloping report for next week, what's happening here. But I've heard everything, and it's from what I've heard of other people going out, they said it's just amazing right now. So we're hoping it lasts a long time, because we've had those amazing reports at first, and then about the third week into July,
Yeah, they're
can't
gone.
find them anywhere. So, we're hoping it lasts as long as it did last year. Because last year I had two or three scalloping trips in late September, and we still got our limits then. So that's the sustainability that we're hoping for. It kind of comes back this year, that it lasts more than just a few weeks. But one way or the other, we'll find them. I mean, it's just you just have to move to different locations and sometimes a little deeper water, but they'll be there.
How's the water quality? Because the biggest thing with scallops is its visibility.
Yeah, the visibility is excellent. I took some pictures. I was up on the Poland platform because we were sight fishing. And I mean, it's just crystal clear out there right now. This rain that we've had up here has been good for us, but it hasn't muddied the waters in any way, shape, or form, especially in the scallop area. So I would say it's still relatively clear near Gomez Rocks, which is basically the start of the scallop all the way down toward Homosassa. And it's still relatively clear around there. It's probably better at lower tide than higher tide, but definitely between Gray Mares and Homosassa area, it's just crystal clear. It's just beautiful out there. So I'm hoping it's going to be a good year. But I can tell you, just going out Friday, like I said, the redfish were there. They're just kind of scattered. They're not staying anywhere. There's still some in the trees to high tides, but you're going to have to really punch it as far back into those trees as you can, because they're going to get as close to those islands and as far back as they can to keep that coolness on them and get tucked away under there. But I've found more redfish out on the flats, out on harder bottom, than I have in the trees. So that's kind of the pattern. It kind of changes. And it seems to happen every time, because a couple of weeks I've got a few charters out with some of the veterans that come in for a week, and we fish with them all week. It's for Kentucky Wounded Veterans, and we just have a bunch of volunteers that take them out all week. And it seems to be this pattern every time. Around mid-June, I find more fish out on the flats than I do in the islands. So, and that's snook and redfish. So my thing is I'll basically just sit out there on a flat, kind of see where some mullet are, throw a few baits out. I may have 3 or 4 rods out on each side, different locations, and have a couple live, a couple cut, and just kind of sit and wait. It's a little bit of a patience game, but sometimes you get right up on a school and it's one right after the other. We were doubled up a couple times on Friday, just because we happened to just keep moving around a little bit area, and we hit from a certain spot, and all of a sudden we get a few fish. Move around, hit another spot, get a few more fish. So they're there. They're just not in the same place as you're used to catching them in the springtime. So trout, we found the trout on oyster bars, on the incoming tide, behind the oyster bars. And it's another thing I love to do. I'd rather have, for bigger trout in the summertime, a pinfish underneath a popping cork. It kills for me every time. And we got some decent quality trout. We didn't have any small trout. They were very good quality trout. Now, again, the bite was not on fire. You catch a fish, and maybe 10 minutes later, you catch another fish. You had to cast a lot, and you had to cover a lot of water. But when we did catch them, they were good quality fish. So that seems to be the thing for the inshore right now. Just kind of, you have to move. You can't sit still.
Last Wednesday we were out filming out of Cockroach Bay with Chad Schultz, and he was able to get a little bit of white bait, not a lot. They were big too. That's the other thing. I mean, these things were big, healthy. We lost 4 or 5 fish and I think they were reds. They couldn't eat the bait. I mean, the baits were just too big. You could feel them, and they start taking off. It was a redfish, and all of a sudden, boom, you bring it back in, and half the time you could see the big bite mark on the fish where there's no way he could swallow it. So I lost a couple of snook. I got one with a couple of the big baits. So I started getting the baits and just ripping about a third of the tail from the back forward, just twisting it off, throwing that half wiggly sardine as far as I could get under the mangroves. And I landed 1 snook on live bait, 7 on dead bait. And at the end of the show, I landed a big, beautiful redfish on cut dead bait. Yeah. He landed about 9 or 10 snook. And I would say that he was like 50-50 because he would go back and forth, put a live bait, put a dead bait. But definitely they were not really attacking. I think the baits were too big. Yeah. That's my opinion. I think that they weren't, but the snook, I couldn't understand it. But then I got to thinking about it too. And I don't know why he did it, but he said about a year ago, he switched to a number one circle hook, not a one-eye, a number 1.
Oh, wow.
And I think that was the problem.
Yeah.
Because first thing, we had this big bait, which you should have put like a 2-aught on it. Yeah. But and so I went with what he did because the show was about him. Right. And to me, I think a couple of those snook that I lost, I think if I would have had like a 2-aught hook, because they were bigger baits, I could have got them. But I think the bait was so big and the hook was so little that they would just grab the bait and rip it off. Mm-hmm. The hook, you couldn't get them. But overall, we wound up with about 15 snook and a redfish, which wasn't a bad and good thing that he launches right there at Cockroach Bay, because let me tell you, it wasn't a nice day to go out into the bay.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing that I do. We did Friday as well, is when we did find the redfish, because a buddy of mine had told me earlier that week that he found some redfish, but they were just very light on the bite. And about the time they thought they'd get them hooked up, because they'd start pulling the line, and just ready when you're basically ready to pull on them, they would just let go. So what we did is, if they started to do that and we pulled on them a little bit and then let go, we just dropped the bait there. The fish would actually come back, and then we'd open the bail and let them run with it for a couple of minutes. And that seemed to help that hookup as well. Now, we had the right size hooks and all that, and the baits weren't really big, but on that light bite where they're sometimes just gumming it, is what I call it, and they're kind of picking it up, they're moving with it, but they haven't really swallowed it yet. So a lot of times, if they're tended to do that and you miss a few fish, just open up the bail, let them take a little line. And that was successful as well. So sometimes you just kind of let them have it.
Yeah, and I think the hook might have been small in my case, because I tell you, a couple of them, I had them. I mean, they whacked it, and they start to take off, and all of a sudden, they were ripping the hook off, the bait off the hook. And that's when I started paying attention, and I looked at his package, and I said, Chad, you're using a number 1? He said, yeah, I went down a smaller hook. I've been having good luck with it. And they were good hooks. He was using owners, top of the line stuff. So, I just think those fish were, the snook weren't gigantic, okay? They were in the 20-something inches. But still, even a 20-something inch snook has a big mouth like a bass. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, again, it's all in what you're comfortable with. And, when I'm using live baits, summertime, I'm using a little bigger hook. or bigger baits for bigger hooks. But, when I go down to shrimp, then I am dropping to a 1, something smaller, just mainly because you have smaller baits in the wintertime, smaller shrimp. So I'm just kind of matching that hook to what bait I've got, and it works that direction. But, it's all in what you're comfortable with and using.
Yeah. Yeah. On that point, another thing too is nobody's got large shrimp. The
No.
medium shrimp right now look like regular.
Mhm.
And the regulars, they become midgets.
Yeah.
And the
Yep.
price went up. I've never seen the price that high in Tampa Bay. Now, Gandy Bait and Tackles always has the best price around
Mhm.
and the best shrimp around. And he says, Sergio, he's having to pay a top price just to get decent mediums. Says there's
Yeah.
no large. He has to sell them now for $350. It used to be $275 a dozen.
Yeah. It's that diesel price.
Well, yeah, I believe
Price for
between the
fuel.
diesel price.
That's what's
So-
going to go up.
Yeah, so the shrimpers are jacking up their price. Plus, they're not
Mhm.
going out as far.
Yep.
And I know that during the summer, you have smaller shrimp, but I mean, he says there's no large. Forget it.
No.
It's
No.
all regulars and mediums. And saying you really got to keep an eye on the regulars because a lot of the regulars, you can't use. They're just too small.
Yeah.
I mean, what the shrimpers are calling regulars, because
Right.
they buy them 5,000 or whatever in this big bag,
Yeah.
live, and they don't know what they're getting in the bag, except the shrimper says, and the shrimpers don't call them out. You
No.
just buy them by the bag.
Yeah.
So you could open a bag, and that bag could be 70% little tiny shrimp and 30% mediums.
Mhm.
So I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the summertime. It's coming. It happens in the wintertime as well. It's really cold and, weather's horrible out there, and you get these really, really small shrimp, and it's just the pattern that we have to deal with. And in the fall, it'll come back, and we'll have bigger, better shrimp. So we'll see.
We're going to see what happens.
Mhm.
And I was looking at the weather forecast. Now they are calling for 50% rain starting Wednesday for 3 days, but that means it's 50% and might not too.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
But then,
Those days you just have to go out and give it a shot. I mean, it's just, just get out there and run from the storms if you can, because, it's a flip of a coin. So if you don't go, you're going to be kicking yourself that you do, that you didn't,
yeah, oh man,
Yeah.
look at a
Yeah.
beautiful day.
because, I could have probably done that for a couple hours, because it's just summertime, summertime pattern here. And we just kind of run away from storms when they show up. It's the only way you're going to continue to do it, because I guarantee it's going to get to the point where it's 50% almost every day here soon. It's coming to summertime. That's just normal.
Well,
So-
we need it. I know where I'm at. We need some rain.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
So,
And I guess we're right at the end of wrapping it up. We want to thank everybody for tuning in. Please tell all your friends about our Monday night podcast. And don't forget, Fishing Adventures Florida. We're on YouTube, Waypoint, Carbon TV, Angling TV. But, most people, they like YouTube. It's the easiest thing on their
Mhm.
phone, on the laptop. That's fine with us. Just go to Fishing Adventures Florida. If you like it, subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. We're doing real good, especially the one we got right now about catching the big redfish in Louisiana. That one there has been a hit. It's only been out about 12 days. And I think as of yesterday, we had 24,000 views already on
Nice.
YouTube. So
There you
that's
go.
people really like to see us catching those big redfish on light tackle. But
Yeah.
again, God bless everybody and take
Thank
care
you,
of
everybody.
yourselves. And the Boat Show, don't forget, save your time, save your money. Come and see us at the end of the month, last weekend of this month at the Tampa Fairgrounds. Mike and I will be there manning the booths, getting you ready for a whirlwind of fun.
Yes, there you go.
All right. Take care, guys.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good
Bye-bye.
evening.